Hello, Evan and Raymond. This is your class for this week. We're going to do a video class because of the situation with the health and safety, possibly people getting sick. So, as a precaution, we're going to do this, okay? So, hopefully, this is fun and interesting, and we're going to talk about a few things today. So, we're going to do parts of a letter first. We're also going to look at different kinds of grammar, and we're going to do a reading story activity where we're going to, now Evan I think will get you to read it by yourself, but Raymond, I'm going to read it and you follow along on your copy, okay? So when we get to that, I'll tell you, okay? So with the first part, we're going to about talking about parts of a letter. Now, first of all, what is a letter? I know we don't write that too much anymore in our lives, or for you guys, maybe never. So, a letter, Evan, you might know a little bit more about this, is a way to formally talk to somebody. You might do this for a family member that you don't get to see. It might be nice. It's kind of like an email, it's just the written form. So, a letter can be both an email and the written form. So, in our letter, we have our first part. We start off with the hello, and we start off with dear someone, okay? And from there, we put a comma. Now, I have a copy for you guys to look at for the format, okay? So it's going to be here. We also have, up in the top right in our letter, the date, okay? So from that, we would start our letter. Now, we don't start right at the edge of the line here. We make our way in a little bit, and then we start off our letter. Now, our letter can be about lots of different things. It can be asking somebody how they are. So you could do a lot of questions, right? So in this example that I've given you guys, it starts off with Dear Aunt Lynn. So you're writing a family member. I started third grade today. The kids in my classroom seem very friendly. So more details, right? Our classroom is really neat. We have a turtle, a rabbit, and a snake. They let that many pets in a classroom? I don't know about that. All of the students will have a chance to take care of the animals during the school year. I hope I get to take the snake home with me. It will scare Jenna. I guess that's his sister. So, in this, they also have, I have a closing sentence. I have to go do my homework now. So we have the topic sentence. That's just really what you're going to talk about there. His third grade. And then he goes into more details. And after writing some details, he closing sentence to say, okay, now I'm done talking. And then you have something like, a kind regards. And again, a comma. So instead of a period, you'd have a comma. So kind regards is just a way to say politely that you're feeling good, things like that. And then you would just put your name. In this place, Calvin, right? Now it's a little low there, I'm sorry. So on the back of this sheet, you guys are going to write a letter to someone. It can be your teacher, me, a parent, family member, right? And you're going to write about a topic. I want it to be at least 5 sentences for you, Raymond. Maybe 7 sentences for you there, Evan. Okay? So that way we can have a good sentence. Now, that's all the basics about a letter. It's just what you write. The date, the dear part, putting it in a little bit, having a topic sentence, and then details about that topic, a closing sentence, and then some way to say, okay, it's me, kind regards, for you, okay? So that is our first part of a letter. So I want you to do that for homework, is to write that letter. Now, that wasn't so bad. If you do have any questions, you can't ask me right now, obviously, because this is a recording. But you can email or get your parents to message Carmen, the principal, and she'll tell me, and that way I can give you any advice that you need about this, okay? Because I know this is a little bit different than normal. You don't have me directly to talk to, but that's okay, because now we're going to talk about some grammar. The first part of grammar we're going to talk about is grammar tense. Now, what is grammar tense? That's not too hard. It just means the time. So in grammar tense, when your teacher ever talks about grammar tense, it's just what time you're talking about for your sentence. So it changes a lot of things. It's going to change your verbs. It's going to add some extra words sometimes. So what are verbs? They're just the action words, right? And so if we talk about our little timeline of now, here's now, right? We can have our time. We can go into the future. And we can go into the past. Now that's the simple kind of grammar. Now, or all the time, we just use a simple sentence that you're used to. I am Calvin. That's all the time. I like bananas. Again, all the time. Something that is all the time, just that way. But if it's the past, right? We have to change the grammar. We make it the past tense. Okay, that's easy. Now, from that, the past tense, we can look at, most of the time, past tense is just adding ed to the action, right? So play becomes played. Now there are sometimes irregular verbs. Eat becomes ate, right? And this is just practice because I think you know this, Evan, for sure. Evan, I'm pretty sure you know this as well, but again, practice, right? Eat becomes ate, but we also have like words like is, am, are. They become was or were. So that's really simple, right? You guys know that. But the future tense is even simpler, right? We use any special word that just changes our normal now sentence to the future, like will or going to. I eat bananas. I will eat bananas. I am going to eat bananas, right? So I run. I will run. I ran. That's pretty simple. So I do have another practice here for our grammar. And it's about changing the tense. From the sentence here, you're going to change it to either the present tense or the past tense or the future tense. So you're changing the sentence that it gives you into different grammar tenses. Because I know you know what that is, but it's good that we can think about it technically and change the grammar tenses. Now that's pretty simple for this week. We are going to look at some more complicated grammar next week, where we change it to not just the future and the past tense, but we can also change it to the future continuous, the present continuous, and the past continuous. Because there's a lot of different grammar tenses in English. We also have something called the perfect tense. Now Raymond, we're not going to do that, but Evan, eventually we are going to do that, okay? Okay, so that's those two. All right. So now, I will also be sending you, because it's a little bit hard to talk about here, but I am going to be sending you another grammar exercise all about complete or incomplete sentences. Okay? So with complete or incomplete sentences, we have a way to talk about that. Now, with complete sentences, what makes a complete sentence? Well, it will have usually a subject to start in most of your guys' sentences. What's a subject? The person or thing doing the action. I, Evan, and Raymond. Okay, from there we have an action, right? I Or I better say eat. I eat. Evan runs. Raymond writes. And then we have our object. Now, we don't always need an object, but in most cases, we do like to have one. An object is just what we're talking about, or what's the action done to. So I eat apples. I was gonna say bananas, but I used that already. Evan runs, and maybe let's say home. And Raymond writes a book. Now that's an easy sentence. What if I just say Raymond writes? That's okay in this situation, right? Some verbs don't need an object, okay? But some verbs do. All right? Talks. Let's say talks. Let's say Raymond talks. Is that a complete sentence? Talks to who? Talks to what? We want to know. So we need something here. Okay? So if I apples. Is that a real sentence? Not really. And runs home. Well, who runs home? Right? So we need to have sentences sometimes that are complete. So I'm going to test you on that with this sheet here. All right. So all you have to do is to write an S if it makes a complete sentence, or an I if it's incomplete. Okay. So let's do the first one together. So he was a hero in the hearts and minds of the people. Well, is that a complete sentence or an incomplete sentence? I feel like one of those children's cartoons where I make a pause. All right, so it is a complete sentence, right? Because we have a subject, was a hero in the hearts and minds. Hearts and minds, all right, so in the hearts and minds. So that means that's the action, that's the idea. And then of who? Of the people. That's our object. So that's a really easy one to know. Okay, so let's say number 3. Number 3 says, a funny noise. Is that a complete sentence? Well, what funny noise? A funny noise. It sounds like it's just describing an object or a sound, but we don't have who makes the funny noise, so our subject, how the noise was made, or anything like that. So it's an incomplete sentence. So read out the sentence and find out if it's incomplete or not. All right? Okay, so from there, I have another one is just a review about adjectives. Okay? So with adjectives, we have a lot of different sentences with adjectives. Now, what is an adjective? Well, an adjective is just a word that describes a person, place, or thing, or a noun. All right? So, here we have some sentences. In the first 12 sentences, you are going to circle the adjective, okay? So that's all you have to do is find the adjectives and circle them, okay? Now, these are great because adjectives are very, very important to writing and make our writing a lot better. I know you, Evan, need to work on more adjectives. Raymond, you need to know more adjectives to use. Evan, you need to practice using your in these adjectives when you're writing. So you're going to find some, and then you're going to create 2 more sentences where you add on an adjective to the underlined words. From this sheet, and the next one, I want you, which I'll talk about the next sheet later, I want you to create a spelling test list. So you're going to have 10 spelling words. Okay, so from this adjective sheet and our next one, which is the 5 senses, you're going to create 10 spelling words. So you get to pick. If they're too easy, I'm going to pick some new ones and make you do them right away. Okay? So you're going to pick 10. Let your mom or dad make sure they're good spelling words, because I'll know. Right? So you're going to have 10 spelling words to work on, okay, from your adjective list. Now, more about adjectives, and you can work on this also, guys, is your 5 senses. So I find a lot of people can't describe a lot of different words about senses. They don't use them very much, right? And so it's really important when we write a story, we write sentences, we write something we see or do, that we can describe using our 5 senses. So what are our 5 senses? Okay, our 5 senses include our taste, hearing, sight or see, smell, and touch. Okay, so you're going to take these words and put them in the correct spot. All right. So, and then you're also going to talk about your favorite things to taste, to hear, to smell, to feel, and to... Oh, I think I have 2 of them here. Oh, well, anyway, I repeated myself. So, that is a good practice for our adjectives, all right, and our grammar overall. We also looked at parts of a letter. Now, when you do your parts of a letter, look back at your letter. Do you describe any of your 5 senses? What you see, what you taste, what you smell, what you hear in your letter. If not, you can add that. That makes a very good description. It helps with our adjective writing, helps our detail writing. It makes it a lot more enjoyable, okay? All right, so that's it for part 1. For part 2, we're going to look at our story, okay? I'll see you in a bit.